Ever found yourself wondering if you're being used by someone who's emotionally damaged? If so, you're not alone. It's an unfortunate reality that some individuals, particularly those who are emotionally broken, may exploit others for their own gain. Essentially, these are individuals who have experienced significant emotional trauma or hardship, resulting in an inability to form healthy emotional connections. It's a defense mechanism, a way of protecting themselves from further emotional struggle. But in the process, they may end up using others for their own emotional stability, often without even realizing it. Whether it's emotional support, validation, or a sense of control, these individuals can manipulate relationships to serve their needs. Recognizing these signs is crucial for your emotional well-being. It's not about blaming or demonizing anyone, but about understanding the dynamics at play so you can make informed decisions. So let's understand the world of emotionally broken men and the signs that might indicate you're being used. Understanding these signs can be the key to protecting yourself from emotional manipulation. The manipulator. Consider Derek, a man who's been hurt in the past and never quite recovered. A charismatic character, Derek has a knack for drawing people in with his tales of heartbreak and disappointment. He's a master at playing the victim, always presenting himself as the one who's been wrong, the one who suffered the most. Derek's past relationships have left him scarred, and he uses these scars as a tool for manipulation. He weaves a web of pity, and those who fall into it often find themselves feeling sorry for him, wanting to help him heal. But in reality, Derek isn't looking for healing. He's looking for someone to shoulder his pain, someone to take responsibility for his hurt. And that's where the manipulation comes in. He avoids taking responsibility for his emotional well-being. Instead, he places the burden on those around him. It's always someone else's fault, always someone else who needs to make things right. He convinces them that they owe him, and that they are responsible for fixing him. Derek's emotional manipulation doesn't stop at playing the victim. He also exploits the sympathy and kindness of others. He knows that people are more likely to help someone they perceive as being in pain, so he uses his hurt as a weapon, luring them in with his vulnerability and then takes advantage of their empathy. Here's the thing about Derek. He's not the villain of this story. He's just a man who's been hurt and doesn't know how to deal with it. An emotionally broken man who uses manipulation as a coping mechanism. It's not healthy, it's not fair, but it's his way of dealing with the pain. This is a classic example of how an emotionally broken man might use others to cope with. The emotional leech. Then there's someone like Sam who drains the emotional energy of those around him. A classic example of an emotional leech. His relationships are marked by an excessive need for reassurance and emotional support, constantly seeking validation, turning every conversation into a therapy session about his problems, his feelings, his insecurities. But here's the thing. Sam's emotional needs are one-sided. His incessant need for emotional sustenance often leaves his partners feeling drained and worn out. Wrapped up in his own emotional turmoil, Sam rarely acknowledges the feelings or needs of others. This lack of empathy, this inability to reciprocate emotional support, is a red flag, a glaring sign of an emotional leech. Take a closer look at Sam's relationships and you'll notice a pattern of emotional exhaustion. His partners often describe feeling emotionally depleted, like they're running on empty. They're constantly having to support Sam without getting any emotional support in return. This imbalance often leads to frustration, resentment, and ultimately, the end of the relationship. But it's not just about the emotional toll. Being with an emotional leech like Sam can also cause serious psychological stress. The constant emotional drain can lead to feelings of anxiety and depression, affect one's self-esteem, leading to a sense of worthlessness. It's a heavy burden to bear, a price too steep for any relationship. So, why does Sam behave this way? It's likely a result of his emotional brokenness. He's using others as a crutch, an emotional band-aid to cover up his own insecurities, his own emotional wounds. But in doing so, he's not healing, he's not growing. He's just transferring his emotional baggage onto others, leaving a trail of emotional wreckage in his wake. Sam's case shows us how emotionally broken men can become emotional leeches, sucking the vitality out of their relationships. It's a stark reminder that emotional health is a two-way street, a balanced exchange of emotional support. Otherwise, it's not a relationship, it's an emotional hostage situation, and no one deserves to be in a relationship like that. The evasive one. Meet Alex, a man who hides behind walls of silence and emotional distance. Alex, like many emotionally wounded individuals, has mastered the art of evasion. Quintessentially evasive, a character we might all recognize but struggle to understand. From the outside, Alex appears to be a regular guy. Charming, witty, and knows just how to make someone feel special. But when it comes to forming deep, meaningful connections, Alex is a master of avoidance. A pro at keeping things surface level, never delving too deep, never revealing too much. One of the most prominent signs of Alex's behavior is his fear of commitment. He's the type to shy away from labels, from promises, from anything that might hint at a long-term bond, always on the move, always in flux, never quite settling down. He might attribute this to a love for freedom, but at its core, it's a fear of being truly seen and known. Next, we see his emotional unavailability. Alex is adept at expressing surface emotions, humor, casual affection, and even anger. But when it comes to deeper emotions, he's like a fortress with its drawbridge up, fearful of sharing his feelings, his fears, his hopes, and dreams. It's as if, by sharing these, he fears he might become vulnerable, open to hurt and disappointment. Finally, we notice a pattern of broken relationships in Alex's past. Like a trail of breadcrumbs, these failed relationships give us a glimpse into his emotional world. They're usually short-lived, intense, and end abruptly, often leaving the other person confused and hurt. These signs, fear of commitment, emotional unavailability, and a pattern of broken relationships, are all part of Alex's playbook. They're his defense mechanisms, his ways of protecting himself from the pain he's experienced in the past. Alex's story serves as a reminder that emotional brokenness can also manifest as evasiveness and fear of emotional intimacy. Recognizing the signs of an emotionally broken man using you can save you from a world of hurt. We've unpacked this complex issue in our conversation today, and it's important that we recap the key points we've discussed. We began by looking at the manipulator, who uses clever tactics to control and manipulate the emotions of others. This person may appear charming and attentive initially, but their true intentions are to control and take advantage of others for their personal gain. Next, we delved into the world of the emotional leech. This individual feeds off the emotions of others, using them as a crutch for their emotional instability. They depend heavily on others for their emotional well-being, often leaving their partners feeling drained and emotionally exhausted. Finally, we explored the evasive one, who avoids addressing their emotional issues and instead projects them onto others. They are experts at sidestepping their emotional responsibilities and can leave their partners feeling confused and frustrated. Understanding these key signs can provide a shield of protection from the emotional manipulation that these individuals employ. Recognizing these signs early on, which is the first step, is paramount, as it can save you from falling into a cycle of emotional abuse and manipulation. Dealing with such individuals can be emotionally taxing, and it's crucial to seek professional help when you find yourself in such situations. Remember, understanding these signs not only protects you but also paves the way towards healthier relationships. Hope the insights in this video help. If it does, please like and share and subscribe.